a day where all you can think is, how am I supposed to get everything done? This video is for you. So I think that as a small business owner, when we start to reach the point where we are every single day wondering, how am I supposed to get everything done? Our first instinct is to go, is it time to hire? Do I need to start hiring? Hold the phone on that, because apparently sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes it's no. You might need to look into something like automation to delegate as opposed to, hiring. So to figure out when we need to lean which direction, I went ahead and found a delegation expert and bringing her on to talk with you about this. So Cami Allen is the entrepreneur's secret partner, and she is an actual delegation expert who helps you understand not just how to delegate, but when to delegate, and then how to delegate in a way that makes sure it actually gets done. Because so often there is this moment where I'm like, you know what, it's just faster to do it myself. And as Cami likes to say, yeah, it's faster to do it yourself the first time. So let's dig right in. So Cami, welcome. Before we get going, as we get going here, I guess the first question I have is, when you are talking to someone, because you do this every single day, when you're talking to someone who is overwhelmed, overworked, underutilized, needs to delegate, but doesn't know where to start, where do you tell them to start? Because I feel like this is kind of just getting this started is really, really challenging for a lot of people.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you so much for having me today and for those kind words. I really appreciate it. I am excited to be here today, and I love your first question. So where do you start? We all know when we started out, usually by ourselves, we did everything, and that's how we grew our business. But at some point, we reached that tipping point where we can't do it all ourselves anymore. And it's important to get help and do it differently so that you don't burn out and lose the passion for what you got into business for. So when I tell people how to get started or work with them and doing a workshop, the first thing that we look at are those things that are not the best use of their time. They don't require their special, unique skills or gifts. They're things that are repetitive or patterned, things that maybe it's the same email you send all the time, or the proposals that you send out are very patterned formula, things like that keep you from doing what you got into business to do. Those are the things we look at first. And I actually created a little decision matrix that kind of helps you look at those kinds of things and what are things that you could delegate or automate. And I'd be happy to send that to anybody if they'd like it.
It's funny that you say that. I had a whole situation with that recently, actually. I was supposed to be taking that Friday off, and I was just going to knock out one really quick thing, and ended up, by the time I actually looked at the clock, it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'd worked a full day, even though I was supposed to have taken the day off. So, excellent point. Follow-up question here. I know everyone says, oh, you know what, it's just faster to do it myself. Your response is, well, that's true the first time. Can you maybe elaborate on that just a little bit? How do you set this up? Because I know people are like, well, then I'm gonna have to try the second time. Yeah, just take it from there.
It's true. It does seem like that's a very common objection. And it is true the first 1 or 2 times. You can do it faster yourself. But over time, if you keep doing the same thing over again and you're wasting that time over and over, eventually you have diminishing returns. So it is worth it to take the time to show somebody else how to do it, to give them the expectations, the how to. Take the time, give them feedback after you have had them do it a few times, so that you can know that they're doing it right and that they have the confidence that they're doing it right. The key to doing this, to really training people and delegating things effectively, is exactly that. You have got to take the time to tell them how it's done, to give them feedback, to ask for their feedback, and stay connected. Doesn't mean you just throw it at them and then walk away. You still have to be an active participant, just in a different way. And then once they get it down and they really start to understand it, just like when you started something new with your business, you had to learn how to do it. You had to become good at it. A person that you're delegating to has to do the same thing. So it's just a matter of how you set it up and how you delegate so that you can be successful, and that adage is not true forever.
Excellent. So we're coming up on the end here. I want to bring this kind of full circle. I know at the very beginning of this video, I was talking about the fact that this idea that delegation isn't always the key to growth. Sometimes we need to do other things. What are your thoughts here?
It is really easy to think that, oh, I must need to hire somebody, I must need to delegate in order to grow. And you need to make sure it's the right time to do that. I had somebody that I was coaching recently on this exact thing, and she had it in her goals to hire staff within her first year. And I challenged her on that because it's not really, the goal isn't to have a person. You need to have the need for the person. You need to grow to the point where you need the person. That's the goal. And so it's important that you realize that just because you feel like you're not growing, it doesn't mean, oh, let's add another person, let's add more expense. Really, it's more about how can you be more efficient with your time and what else is really going on. And sometimes we don't want to ask that question. We don't want to dive that deep and look at that and see, wow, there's some things I'm not doing here that I need to be doing if I want to grow. And adding a person isn't necessarily going to fix that. So a lot of times when I delve into things with clients, what they think is the issue and what they think they need is not at all what's really the case. But we have to dig in a little bit to really kind of take a look at things and dissect things and understand that there's other work that needs to be done, and just adding another person to the mix isn't necessarily going to fix it. So there is a time to delegate. There's a time to automate. Those things are very important, and they do help you grow and they help you manage your tasks so that you don't burn out. But they're not the be all end all, and they're not going to fix everything. So it's a balanced approach like anything else.
That's amazing. I love it. So for those of y'all watching this, hope you got some ideas, some value out of this. Cami and I connected a little while back on LinkedIn, and quite frankly, every conversation I've had with this woman has been absolutely delightful. I don't know that I've ever met someone who actually helps you get over the psychological hump and the details of delegating in a way that makes sure stuff gets done in a way that's actually helpful. And that just absolutely makes me ecstatic. If you would love to connect with Cami, I've got her contact info in the description. So do yourself a favor, go to her website, check out her social media, have a conversation with her, because you know what? Maybe it's not the thing holding you back from growth that you think it is, and maybe she can help you pinpoint exactly what to do and how to do it in a way that makes sense for where you're at financially in your business. In the meantime, go out there and make it an amazing week. Understand that your ADHD is a strength, not a weakness. You just have to make sure you run with it. Maybe by working with people like Cami. Talk to y'all soon.